Today, the problem with education is solved. It is cost-effective, the technology is there, the networks are robust. Now all we have to do is deliver it. What we really want is a system that is powerful, free, and maintains the most critical part of what it is to be human. And that will lead us to the golden age of learning. The next 20 years, you will see more change in the way people learn than in the last 2 millennia. Remember, learning really kind of started with Socrates, and then it started to become industrialized at the turn of the Industrial Revolution. Hasn't really changed much since. What we want is we want to maintain passion, curiosity, optimism, and empathy. If everybody has that, good to go. Because the pre-internet world was focused on academics, because that's kind of all they could work on. Free effective education is really about accessibility. It used to be that people could change their circumstances independent of the birth circumstances. Sometimes certain kids chose their parents wrong. But right now we have a bureaucratic, extremely expensive, ineffective system. We felt like we were fighting against tilting windmills. But no, it's just natural bureaucracy. When I went to school, school was the most interesting thing going on. The alternative was watching the river flow and watching the corn grow. School was cool. It was easy. And now, it's the worst. Students today are different. They meet for coffee, they go to a museum, they have fun at the beach, fun at the game, they get together for dinner, and of course, they have fun at grandma's. Grandma is not amused. But the fact is, we have massive amounts of information flow. The current student mind can absorb information about 3 times faster. 3 times faster than anybody can speak. Little Johnny went to school. His first day, and the teacher says, "Johnny, what's the difference between ignorance and apathy?" To which he replied, "I don't know and I don't care." But here we have it. We are training out creativity. Boredom is bad. Have you ever stopped to think about how many people, when they're playing video games, ask for Ritalin so they can keep their attention on it? No. Curiosity and the imagination is the most important thing that we have. And yet it's the least used, and it's in fact being trained out of us. Wrong. When we look for student interest, don't forget about production values. If you really look at the cost, we're competing with things which are just perfected down to the microsecond. Budgets. A classroom at $30 an hour just can't compete. If you want to really have interest go to zero, put on a talking head. Nobody watches talking heads, particularly kids. This doesn't work. And so, understand that passive does not work. Me standing up here, blathering on, you're not going to remember it. Our brains are created to discard what we see until something else happens. Otherwise, our brains would fill up and stuff would spill out of our ears. Reading, listening, watching does not work. Turns out that our brains, if you go into an fMRI, claustrophobic as hell if you've ever tried it, nothing lights up when we're reading a book, watching a movie, watching a lecture. But the minute I ask you a question and you think about answering it, everything lights up. That's the learning moment. And so, think about the classroom. The classroom is about batch processing. When somebody says I'm in the third grade, that says I'm in the third grade batch. There's a slow information transfer. And then there's disruption. Disruption is probably the most boring thing in the world. And it's not stoppable. Why? Because 13-year-old boys think that it's funny, and they do it, independent of the consequences, independent of the penalties. It's the problem. Classrooms give a forum, and the forum for the teacher is also the forum for the disruptor. And it requires sitting and passivity. All our DNA was created 35 million years ago when we were marching around the savannah. We learned on our feet. Sitting still and passively watching is not in our DNA. Not in our DNA. Disruption is really a problem. So the trick is, get rid of the forum. Is this a startup or is it a school? I'm telling you, within 10 years, this will be more what a school looks like than a classroom. The curriculum will be provided by a playlist, and there will be interesting playlists created. For example, how many of you would like to pursue Steve Jobs' playlist? Know what he learned. Know what he focused on. Some of you who are really weird would want my playlist. Because you never know what kind of weird stuff comes out of my brain. My kids would hate to have my playlist, just so you know. Don't forget about neurogenesis. Our brains are massively changing all the time. If you are stupid, that's politically incorrect, but if you are stupid, and you know who you are, you can fix it. You can become as smart as you want. And you do it by doing a lot of things. Neurogenesis, it's a real trick. Do different things, exercise aggressively. You got to get your heart rate up for 20 minutes in the morning. That secretes BDNF, and that's the stuff that's precursor to dendrite growth. It's great. You'll do it. And then you play video games for the rest of your life. Now, why video games? Video games actually put you in the flow state. You heard a little bit about that a few minutes ago. The flow state opens up everything for your brain. It's individualized and really powerful. And these aren't necessarily games where you're trying to kill aliens and bombing, help you against the zombie apocalypse. I was almost going to say the Obama apocalypse, and that was very politically incorrect. But here's the rule. Today's education needs to be interactive, high speed, adaptive, use-based repetition, and it's mastery-based. So let's go through this. Interactive. Good software forces you to make a change, answer a question every 3 to 5 seconds. That's it. That's interactive. High speed. If you have time pressure, you're in the learning moment. You're focused. You're not thinking about what the people are doing after school. You're not thinking about what's out the window. You're learning. You're in the moment. Adaptive. Turns out that we don't run at the same speed. In fact, one of the curses of political correctness is people say, she's a little slow, meaning, quote unquote, dumb. When in fact that's wrong. There are a lot of kids right now that have self-identified as dumb, that are cognitively brilliant. Their clocks just run a little slower. Is that good enough for a stigma? Should they be stigmatized? No, but they've self-identified. I mean, I'm dyslexic, and so I was in the blue reading group in the first grade. We all knew those were the dummies. And my mother worked me through it, and it turns out my dad was dyslexic, I'm dyslexic, my boys are dyslexic, none of my girls are dyslexic. It's a male thing, it's genetic. But we think differently, and some people say that it's, once you get through the reading thing, that it's good for you. Anyway, spaced repetition. If you want to remember something, do it 5 times, spaced over a 2-week period. Repeat something once in real time, twice in real time, 24 hours again, 2 or 3 weeks after again. And you will be able to remember everything you've learned in high school and college for the rest of your life. Mastery-based. You can't complete the lesson until you know it 100%. No, gentlemen, see, because so much of learning is in fact additive. And if you get 60% of math in 3rd grade and 60% of math in 4th grade, the wheels come off the bus when you're trying to learn algebra. You gotta know, you maybe learn less, but what you learn, you have to learn 100%. Anyway, Minecraft, great learning. Collaborative, desktop, computerized, playlists, the school of the future. This isn't a video game, but I think everybody should play Go. Go is the greatest and most elegant game, and the word Atari actually came from the game of Go. It's a polite warning to your opponent that he's about to get engulfed. It's interesting, I met some Japanese that, this was a Japanese game, it's an Asian game, and they said, Atari, very good name, but for Japanese, perhaps boastful. And I think it's true, but it's the only game I know that truly engages the right and left halves of your brain. I want you to watch Vsauce. Vsauce is a YouTube channel, great stuff, all over the map, but it fills and I've gone down curiosity rabbit holes because of this YouTube channel. Much better than this guy. Veritasum. If you like physics, watch him. If you hate physics, watch him. It'll change your life. Much better than this. This is the kind of stuff he does. Now that's fun, but there's always a meaning behind it. The big lie today is qualify for college, graduate, get a good job. Won't happen. That's why most of the colleges will close within the next 20 years. Because once you have a proven metric that is better, The emperor has no clothes. And pretty soon, spending $200,000 for an ineffective degree won't happen anymore. We are creating indentured servitude that was actually outlawed in the 1700s. Owing $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 for a student loan is criminal. You heard it here. Right now, student debt is $1.3 billion. Trillion. After you get so many zeros, it's a problem. So anyway, businesses are looking for the educated, non-credentialed. High schools should teach jobs. Dropouts are done. I'm actually running out of time here. High school reading lists should contain a lot of science fiction. The thought that current reading lists prepare our students for life in the 18th century England is wrong. And so let's figure it out. And I just want to leave you with this. Intensity rules outcomes, and we're going to have fun, and I'm all through. Thank you very much.